Welcome to Considering Majors and Careers, a Freshman Seminar presentation. As you start thinking about your majors and what careers you want to pursue, you'll want to keep a couple of different things in mind. Of course, we live with economic uncertainty all the time. We can't guarantee that things will be getting better and better. College degree often does help, but planning is really important. Keep in mind that the world in some ways has gotten smaller, and with globalism, oftentimes companies are drawing from a larger pool of people. That's a great thing for the companies, and that can also be challenging, however. You need to make sure that you are putting yourself into the best position for the job that you want. Keep in mind that many companies do downsize, and things are a little unstable with many companies, and we see this even in our region. Oftentimes companies are moving around and moving to other places because they can't find the work they want, things like that. There's also a larger trend toward more part-time and temporary jobs. A lot of employers are realizing that as unions are not as strong as they used to be, a lot of times they can get people to do roughly the same work, but pay them less, not have them at 40 hours so they don't have to give them the same health insurance and benefits that they normally would have in the past. A lot of companies are moving that way, and that really is my own personal opinion. That's very unfortunate and problematic for people who are workers. There's also a movement and a trend toward what's called a gig economy. That's GIG. And what that means is that instead of working for one company, people would have skills and specific things they can do, and companies would hire them just for a project here and there. So you may be working for 3 different companies at the same time, several projects, for example. And again, sometimes that's like owning your own business. Sometimes it's a little different. But like I said, oftentimes that's a way for employers to get around paying the same wages and benefits and health insurance that they used to be doing. So as you move forward, you need to work on creativity and innovation. You need to be able to work with teams. Employers often tell us that's a skill they want students to see in their future, is working with teams, and start working with that as even college students. And keep in mind that skills needed for jobs and the education needed for jobs, that does change. There's a writer and education and careers researcher named Jeffrey Selingo, and he's talked about a model where people are going to have to, every few years, go back and get more training for their jobs because things do sometimes change. That's not every job, but for a lot of jobs that happens. And even for my job as a professor, I'm constantly having to go learn new things and get more training. And of course, the ability to communicate electronically is very important in many jobs. Today's job landscape in mind, then, you want to really think about the skills employers seek, and you can find other articles out there and more information in your book about this. But keep in mind that there are some skills and content, that's things that you would know, transferable skills that maybe from one job to the next you would have certain types of skills that you would be able to have. And again, people change careers and jobs more frequently now, so skills are important. Skills that you can take from one job to the next. Here are some top-ranked skills that employers identify. They include, again, working in teams, as we've discussed, being able to have decision-making and problem-solving skills. That's why we harp on critical thinking and try to do a lot of things in your liberal arts education related to critical thinking. That's a very important skill just as a person and as a citizen, and employers want to see that as well. Again, you can see a lot of the other skills here do relate to things that you're learning in your education: how to be organized, how to communicate, what to do with information, how to gather it and analyze it, and of course some basic technical knowledge as well. So again, a good liberal arts education should help you learn all of these things, but you want to pay attention to make sure that you're pursuing these. Something you should be doing as a college student then is working with your academic advisor very closely. They can help you figure out not just what classes you should take, but what's going to be most beneficial for your major and for your career. Research indicates that students who engage in academic planning are more likely to stay in college. And of course, your academic advisor is going to hopefully be really direct with you and help you so you don't feel just lost and alone trying to figure things out. You want to plan ahead before meeting with your academic advisor. You want to look through the course catalog, which you can download from the Ancilla website in the Students tab section. You want to think about the different available majors that you might want to get into if you don't already have one, and figure out what else is on campus that you can use to help you. Look through, decide which majors sound interesting to you, and again, figure out how soon you want to get to where you're going with your career. If you want to transfer, if just a 2-year degree is good for you. Again, have that all in mind before working with an academic. Your academic advisor will help you figure out what classes you want to take then. And you should go to the meeting already having a good idea of what classes you want to take and when. That'll help the meeting go a lot more smoothly. In general, most full-time students are going to take 4 to 6 classes per term. You're going to want to register early in the process once classes became available. Figure out what's manageable for you. Different people have different things that are hard and easy, but you want to kind of mix those up to make your semesters pretty manageable. And of course, your academic advisors can help you, not just with registering classes, but again, determining some things with the directions you want to take with your career, and even some other, things if you're struggling with various aspects of college. They can help you with those as well. As you start thinking about your career then, you want to start really thinking about some certain specific aspects of that will help you determine where you want to go. You want to take part in a process called self-assessment. That's gathering information about yourself in order to make informed decisions. And you can see some of these different factors listed on this slide. Values, skills, aptitudes, personality, life goals, and work statistics, and interests. We're going to take some time and look at one particular way to help you kind of figure out some career ideas. And this is helpful even if you do already have a major and career determined. This can help you get a little bit more specific about where within that major and career you're going to thrive and you might want to pursue. The Holland Model looks a lot at the relationship between personality types and potential career fields, and shows how closely they might associate with each other. So you can see the list here in this diagram, and in the following slides we'll talk more about these things. The realistic personality and career type is somebody who's going to want concrete ideas instead of abstract ideas, very down to earth, very practical in what they want. These are people who are going to compete and do their best in a lot of ways. They're going to gravitate towards jobs that require motor skills and coordination, often drawn towards jobs that show off physical strength. So you can see some of the career fields down in there, including environmental engineer, electrical contractor, and later on the list it says electronics technician. You also see things like the exercise science field, fitness directors, even web designers, and some of the military jobs. We also have the investigative personality and career type. These are going to be people who are more analytical. They're drawn toward analysis. In other words, they use a lot of logic and rational thinking. Good problem solvers. And again, these are people who want that intellectual stimulation. They want to really dig into things. They're going to spend some time thinking and considering things before acting. You see their career fields that they're drawn to are things like urban planner, chemical engineer. You see a lot of scientist type things in here, but also people who are college professors. The artistic career and personality type, that's going to be people who are creative, innovative. Oftentimes they're going to want to work independently. Of course, they're going to value self-expression and emotional expression, relating to other people quite a bit. Often they're going to not really want to work within a corporate structure, though I know people who are artists who do find within a corporate structure because that's the job that works for them. You're going to see career fields like architecture, film, people who are actors, people who are graphic communication specialists and journalists and editors, public relations, things like that. Also people who are more into media and library work. And in addition to that, of course, people who are more into fine and performing arts is a career field as well. The social type is going to be very focused on others. Very kind, caring, helpful people. They liked making a contribution. Sometimes those are in group interactions, sometimes larger groups as well. Might be people who are teachers and have strong speaking skills, also people who are counselors and social workers. So you can see the kind of career fields again: nurse, teacher, social worker, different types of counseling, people who work with different populations who have special needs. This might include ministers, but also things in business like travel agents and convention planners, insurance claims specialists. Someone who is enterprising is going to be someone who's more likely to be assertive and putting himself or herself out there, taking risks. Often these are people who are very persuasive. These are oftentimes your more outspoken and flashier business leader types. They want prestige and power and status. They're going to supervise other people. The downside is they're more likely to try to talk people into things and just be bossy rather than support or guide them. But again, this personality type and career type is very necessary in our world. You see these people becoming bankers, city managers, FBI agents. They get into administrating healthcare. Some of these people become judges. Again, the insurance sales and other type of salespeople. But also people who are very much into marketing, and some lawyers would fit this personality type. And then we have the conventional type. These are people who are going to be very detail-oriented, want things very well organized, they're neat, but they can also be very persistent and again, very valuable to have these people around for a job because they're going to help you with your structure and they're going to really stay within the lines for you. Rules and regulations are not really a problem for them. And these are the people who are going to organize and plan things, schedule things. They're going to work with data. So they're going to be people who get into career fields like accountant. They're going to work with statistics. You can see a lot of these different jobs here that relate to people who are very valuable in the office. So as you use these different tools for self-exploration and figuring out what career will work for you, you're going to want to look at some things and relate them to what you know about yourself. What are the daily activities? Sometimes it's really fun to go see what people do in their jobs, but they're kind of performing. You want to find out what the daily job is. What kind of interests and abilities it requires. Are there things that you need to use in terms of preparation? What is required there? What are the general working conditions, and can you work within those conditions well? What's the salary and benefits? Those are helpful to know. And again, employment outlook is important because you want to know if this is a field that's going to be around for a while, or if it's a field where, yeah, you can get a job, but it may be gone within a few years. As you start planning your career, then you're going to want to do some things to help yourself out. Take a variety of classes that'll help you get more sense of what you're interested in and what you're not interested in. For some of us, once we get taking the classes within our field and our major, we realize, wow, this really is not for me. You can visit a career services office, and they can help you figure things out. Some of these self-assessment tools are very helpful, so I recommend taking those fairly often, especially throughout your college years, because things do change as you get more information and as you grow. They may change, so take them fairly often. You want to always have a resume available. There are a lot of clubs and organizations you can get involved with, and even on a small campus like Ancilla, there are things where you can get engaged with what's going on, and these offer lots of good opportunities to build some of your skills. And as you start doing some self-assessment, realize what your strengths are, but also realize what your weaknesses are and work to improve those. Networking is also important. That means getting to know people within your field so that as you emerge out of college, you can call them and see what's going on within their fields and what possible jobs might be available. A few more ways you can start planning your career include volunteering. Again, you'll often get really great job skills just by some of these job volunteer opportunities. Start researching within your career and things that you want to know, and get to know how likely it is you are to find a good job and good companies within whatever region you want to live. Getting to go visit on the job and see what's going on is helpful. Job shadowing is what we call that. Look for internships and work-study experience. Again, that's a great way to develop skills and get good things on your resume, even while you're in college. And pay attention to your social media presence. Even now, pay attention to what you're putting out there. Are you showing that you're engaged in your field and interested in your field, or are you just posting pictures of you and your friends partying? again, employees more and more do look at social media, so start getting that under control. If not, as you start looking for jobs, here's some good strategies. Again, figuring out who the major players are in your area, looking at different job boards that are around, both online and on campus. Local newspapers, people still use that. And there are a lot of places on the web that you can find as well. Those change from time to time, so we don't really have those listed here. But just know that there are a lot of job opportunities that don't get posted. You just kind of have to keep in contact with the companies, and again, networking is key. As you start getting called in for interviews then, you should know some things about how to perform within that interview and how to get ready for that. So you want to prep really, really, really well. Keep in mind that I'm a division chair here at Ancilla College. I've been on a lot of hiring committees, like groups who hire some of the full-time professors. So some of the full-time professors that you have here, I've been on committees to hire them. As a division chair, I hire the part-time instructors for my division, the humanities division. So I've been through this quite a few times. And in the past, I also helped students and helped other people a lot with employment preparation. So I do know some things, and I'm always happy to talk with you one-on-one or exchange communication on this as well. So in terms of prepping, you want to look really carefully over the company's website, both theirs and their competitors, and see what a job might entail. Get to know the industry a little bit more. You can ask for advice if you know anybody who works there or has been involved in that industry. Make sure you know the job description and requirements really, really well. Read over those a lot because you want to make sure that you're a good match for those and that you can explain how you're a good match for those. Employers are going to ask you questions about that. You can even use the library to learn more things about the industry or the company. You want to look over what are the employers' goals and values. What's their company culture like? What kind of products and services do they offer? Because again, if you get this job, you're going to be working with those a lot, so you want to know those pretty well before even going in. So take your notes to the interview, and it helps if you can find somebody to conduct a mock interview with you. In other words, act like they're that employer and act like they are interviewing you, and sometimes they'll come up with questions that are pretty close with the employer. On the internet, on places like Career Ladder and Forbes and other places, you can find a lot of good articles on questions to avoid asking and how to behave during an interview. But here's a list, just a few questions you want to avoid asking, like what's the pay, how many sick and vacation days, when you're going to get a raise. Those are all very good questions, and those are things that I would want to know in a job. And honestly, it's very frustrating when you are trying to get a job and they won't tell you what the pay is. I have problems with that. But again, asking a lot about that in the interview can come off the wrong way. So you've got to be really careful about that. On the other hand, there are questions that you do want to ask. Again, you can find lots of good articles on this. But one is to show that you're really interested in the position and you're interested in knowing how well you match and can move toward matching that. So you would ask them, about what the ideal candidate for this job would look like and what characteristics and qualifications that person would have. Asking them after they've looked over your interview about what your greatest strengths are and how they see that. And you can also ask your employer how they want to see the position emerge, what goals they have for it, and how your type of person, who you are as a candidate, can help move that job forward. During the interview, some quick tips here. Always keep good eye contact with the employer. A lot of people really like that, and they feel like they're making a connection with you if you have good eye contact. Of course, you want to act like you're interested. I mean, you should be interested because it is your job, but make sure that that shows up in your appearance. Try to smile a lot. People like that. Give a good solid handshake. Make sure your phone is off. That's really embarrassing and unprofessional if your phone goes off during the interview. And they're almost always going to say, do you have any questions for us? And again, you want to make sure that you have those questions ready so that you can appear intelligent and show that you have researched that job ahead. Here's some good suggestions on dressing for their interview. Again, this may change a little bit depending on the job. There are some jobs where they want a little bit of a different candidate. But for most of what you're going to go for, you want to keep these basic things in mind. So you don't want to wear a lot of loud, flashy ties. It needs to look pretty good and be what they call a conservative color. That has nothing to do with politics, just mean not too splashy. Now, again, these are tips for men. Now, again, there are some jobs where they're going to want somebody with a little bit more creativity. If I am interviewing somebody, an English professor here, to me, if they're dressed a little bit differently and show some creativity, that's not such a bad thing. But you do want to look professional. That includes belt, socks, and shoes are going to match. In general, men don't want to wear a lot of jewelry except for a watch and a wedding ring. Keep in mind that you do have some employers who are going to be turned off by things like earrings in men or other body jewelry. Some people not bothered, but you want to go in, again, not really having those things in case that would be a problem for people. You're going to want to, again, keep the clothing pretty toned down and make sure that anything that you might have, like facial piercings, some jewelry, or tattoos, you really don't want to have those visible. Again, some employers don't care, and a lot of times when you're getting service level jobs, they don't care. But you want to make sure that in a lot of companies, unless you know that the company is going to encourage that, you're not walking in with your sleeves rolled up, showing all your tats. Again, personally, I don't care. I hire people all the time with tattoos, doesn't bother me, but I'm in academia. We're not really bothered by that stuff a whole lot. Big one here, avoid strong aftershave and cologne. I got to tell you, a lot of times you guys, and talking specifically to males here, visit me in my office or even in class, and wow, they've got a lot of cologne on. And I know some people are showing up after practice or don't take their shower until later in the day, but for a lot of employers, that's going to be a big turnoff. That's going to be considered unprofessional. As far as women tips here, and again, for both men and women, you can find a lot of good articles out there with more pointers and pictures and things like that that'll help. And again, with women, again, I'm using the publisher materials here. These are not my personal things that I recommend, but as somebody who's been in the job situation for quite a while and have seen a lot of different things over the years and talked to a lot of students who later on get hired, I can tell you that for a lot of companies, these things are true. So they talk about making sure your skirt covers your thighs when you're seated. You don't want to be in a situation where employers think you're trying to show off or come across as using your body to try to get a job. There are going to be times when you do have employers who are interviewing you who are going to be looking at those things and kind of judging if they feel like you're showing too much skin as well. And they're going to turn you down for a job on that. So you want to be careful about that stuff. Again, I'm not judging or condoning one way or the other. I'm just saying that's how it is. You will have other employers who will have no problem with that. Other employers, they would like that too much and may be problematic as far as other sexual harassment and things for the job. So you want to just kind of be right down the middle with this stuff. With earrings, again, being fairly conservative with that. One set of earrings is generally the recommended amount for a professional setting. Making sure that the nails look pretty professional there. Kind of moderate makeup. Again, having the piercings and the tongue jewelry and visible tattoos. Those are things that, again, in the professional world, things are changing. But you want to usually err on the side of caution unless you know that the company culture is going to encourage or be really cool with that kind of stuff. And then they talk about trying to avoid pastel colors. I got to be honest, I don't know what that's all about, but you're going to want to look that one up and figure out why that might be. And hopefully, once the interview has taken place, there are some nice processes you can go through that will help. One is to provide a thank you. Email is often fine, or a letter to the committee or individual that interviewed you. I'll be honest, I am impressed when some people send a nice follow-up thank you card for the interview. Now, if otherwise they're completely unqualified or blew the interview totally, that's not going to make a difference. But if it's close between candidates and somebody does something nice like that, seems a little old-fashioned, but that can make a difference. Here's some ways that even in college you can start marketing yourself and putting yourself out there so that as you enter the career field, you're ready to go and already have some materials in place. First of all, you want to develop a presence. What that means is that Again, you're organized and involved in things both at college and within the industry that you want to get into, getting internships and all that kind of stuff. Marketing yourself means promoting yourself, promoting what you do. That may mean on social media. When you volunteer, post some pictures, show what you do, talk about your skills. And again, you don't want to be bragging or showing off, just showing, hey, I did really great on this project. Isn't this really cool? Again, showing people that you are developing these skills. That'll help you kind of show where you're at related to the competition. Building a resume is important. I'll be posting some links on our page that you can find about that. I teach a whole unit on that in Writing 2, and we often cover that in Writing 2, and other classes get on that as well. But if you want to work on that, again, come talk to me privately, and I'll be glad to help you with both your resume and your cover letter. And again, there's good information on this in the Writing 1 and Writing 2 books, and we often cover this in a Writing 2 or a technical writing class, as well as computer literacy will get you some of the basic technology skills for that. As you get started on a career then, remember, you don't need to feel trapped in a career. Sometimes we get started into things and we feel like, well, my education led me to this and I really need to stick it out. And yes, perseverance and resilience, all very important things. But there are times when you've been in a career for a little while and you don't want to be trapped. The college degree that you have can be very flexible. And people who have one type of degree often go into another line of work because a lot of those skills are what we call transferable. We've talked about that already. Critical thinking skills, communication skills, those transfer to a lot of jobs, whether you're a history major or a business major or whatever else. So again, people change careers all the time, and just know that you can always kind of make a fresh start for yourself if you need to. Here's some contact information for at the college who you can work with, especially is Jim Cawthon. He's a director of career services. He's really fantastic at hooking students up with really good internships and helping them get ready for the career. And he runs a Twitter page, Ancilla Careers, you can get on as well. I believe that might be an underscore between Ancilla and Careers, but you can look that up on Twitter, and he posts a lot of good advice that can be very helpful for you. Let's review some of the key points. First of all, that you should be paying attention to the economy and trends within your career field. You are responsible for planning your own career. Nobody else can or should do that for you. And that includes your academic planning. You want to take that seriously. Don't just wander into the academic advisor when you get a spare 5 minutes and think that you're going to be all good. You want to really invest yourself in investigating what classes you should be taking and setting up your schedule and work with them, and be open to what they have to say as well. Getting lots of different types of work, and I would add volunteer experience during college is going to be very helpful for you in terms of employability. And you want to figure out, again, your different career and personality types, and figure out who you are. I know that's really tough, but how that should affect your career choices and move accordingly. All right. Good luck, everybody. Have a great week.